Okay, Patrick Shu. Now, it is so nice that you're here today. I really appreciate that, and thank you so much for sharing your time and explaining to us how your progress in technique went when you started working with me. You started, what was it, in '09?
Yeah, I started September '09.
September '09, and you had several years of piano.
Yeah, I had around 7 to 7.5 years.
Exactly, and I remember you came and you said, "Oh yes, I can play all the scales." And I said, "Well, go right ahead. Let's hear something." And then what happened? And then I introduced you to these books.
Yeah.
And so explain us a little.
Well, when I first learned technique with Mrs. Scott before I started studying with you, we never really had a set fingering. Like for the arpeggios, it was just kind of do whatever works for the time being. And so we never really decided on anything, and so my technique would keep falling apart when I would perform, when I would practice. But then I got this arpeggio books, the scale books, and so I started following a set fingering. And what that helped me do is that it helped me kind of regulate myself so that I don't stray from the pattern, and I get the motion down into my fingers, into my body, so that I can just follow it and I won't make any mistakes.
Well, that's all very important, don't you think? It's an excellent way to have fingering charts and have some instructions that will clean up past errors.
Yeah, I think it helps a lot because the fingering and because of the simplicity of the charts, it makes it really simple, makes it really easy to read them.
These were the ones you started with. This is available as a PDF download, and it's in color. It can be printed out. It eats a little bit of toner, but it's very nice. Did these instructions help you?
Yeah, especially all of the tips, how you describe technique, how you describe the relaxation, the pulse with the wrist, and how to achieve flawless scales, and to slow down whenever I would meet a mistake or anything.
Yes, well, those are all the tips that we need as pianists in order to play beautifully and flawlessly. And it just takes the know-how. So as a teacher, I'm in the excellent position to have been able to have the time to write all these things down and share them. So now let's take a look at the other books here. Those are the print books, and you were taking a look at the complete workbook. Okay, and now explain to us. It has the practice logs in it, and it has, of course, all the scales, chords, cadences, and arpeggios. So, did you use the practice logs?
Yeah, I used the practice logs when I was first working on my technique. When I had to refine it, get new fingering for my scales, arpeggios, etc.
This is how that looks.
Yeah, and what it did is that it helped me track my progress so that I could see, oh, I ought to kind of, slow down because I'm making too many mistakes, because I went to this speed this day and I didn't do so hot. So it helped me kind of give me a record of how good I was doing at various speeds.
Excellent. Well, that's the entire idea of everything, is the ability to slow down to a speed where you can actually play well. Then you have the motions that define that tempo, and then you have something to build on. So I'm happy as such, because it makes my job teaching so much easier. So would you like to give us a very brief demonstration of how you're using any of these books, and just take a pick, whatever you would like to open up and show us here?
Alright, well, I usually just start off slow motion first, especially when I first started kind of redefining my fingering. So I would just do this hand separately, slow motion, and then slowly work my way up.
Okay, alright.
So I would start off first at like a moderate tempo.
excellent. So, and then would you add the harmonic minor scale right away? And then you open the other book for the melodic scales, right?
Yes, I
Okay.
use these books.
Okay. So then let's open up the C melodic minor, melodic and C natural minor scale. Here you are.
Okay.
And it's nice, these are in color. So everybody can print those out. Okay, go ahead, let's hear a little. Excellent, that was very nice. It was nicely controlled and very beautifully played. Okay, now why don't we open up one of the other charts book, take the yellow one, because it's just the charts, and show us a little bit, pick any scale that you'd like to demonstrate. You just started in C. Why don't you show us the chords?
Okay, the chords. Like these?
Yes, exactly. So the chords you would have, this is G, and here's C. You define the tonic, 1, 4, 5, then the inversions, and then you have the cadences 1, 4, 1, 5, 1 in root first and second inversion.
Yeah.
Okay? So most of my students use these chords charts, and it helps them to get through level 4, 5, and 6 in theory. Now, did these help you a little bit, looking them over and learning them in order to get through? You tested in level 7 in the Certificate of Merit,
Yeah.
and then you tested in the advanced level with a theory exemption. So, do you think these are helpful?
Yeah, because it tells you what notes are in each kind of inversion, in each kind of cadence. So what it does is that you won't be guessing about, oh, it's subdominant, what notes are, what notes go into the chord. They're right there, so you can just look at them.
Exactly. Now, there are no notes in these charts. So the question is, do you think it was of benefit to remove the notes, the key signatures, and the reading of the small finger numbers, and just blow up the big letter names and the finger numbers? Do you think that made a difference for you?
Yeah, it was a lot easier because sometimes when you're reading notes, you kind of focus way too much on the notes, and then maybe you forget the accidentals and the key signature. These, they already have like the accidentals, all the letters right next to them. So it's really easy to read because of its simplicity.
Exactly, exactly. So you want to play through a couple of the chords real quick?
Yeah,
So it's
sure.
define 1, 4, 5, then the inversions, and then play a couple cadences. Okay. And then what you also want to do is you want to go over the root position chords, like so. For instance, for C minor, it's 1, then it's 4, and then it's 5, and then you want to go over the inversions. On 1, on 4, and on 5. And then you have warmed up all the chords that you will be playing in the cadences. So it's 1, 4, 1, 5, 1. So that also helps. You were playing the inversions of the chords, and that was also very good. You did a great job with that. Okay, so now let's take a look at the arpeggios here.
Okay.
So what do you have to tell us about the arpeggios charts?
The arpeggios charts, they have the letters, like the finger numbers. So it's really direct because it's just like what numbers are next to the letter, and then basically that's what finger that you play.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds fantastic. So could you just show us a couple, maybe 2 octaves? Okay, no, that was really easy.
Yeah.
You know, when I started playing piano and I had my first piano lessons, arpeggios was always considered such a difficult chore. And it took me years to find a good book that had the arpeggios fingering in it. There's one that I'm using at times for some other technical elements. And it's so crowded and so cramped together. How do you feel about these charts?
Well, the first thing is that they're really simple, they're really open, so there's none of this clutter, none of the key signatures. So you just look at the notes and like, oh, these are the notes in this arpeggio, and then just basically plug the fingers in.
Exactly. And you mentioned at the beginning that you didn't exactly know the fingering. So is that now crystal clear for you?
Yeah, because every single arpeggio, every inversion is this set motion that you just have to follow, and then it will work out every time.
Exactly, exactly. Now, you know, anybody can play the white key scales. What about the black key scales? Could you show us a couple?
Yeah. Right.
Go to the black key scales, maybe further back.
Yeah.
And let's just do a couple arpeggios. Because, you know, the arpeggios is it's just not that simple. Okay, go ahead. So here are the charts for all the black key scales. The black key major, harmonic minor, melodic, and natural minor scales. The chords 1, 4, 5 in all the keys, the black keys, and the arpeggios as well. So you open up F sharp major and F sharp minor arpeggios. Could you just play a little, please?
Yeah, I'll play F sharp minor because it's a mixture of black and white keys, so that makes it more difficult.
Okay, that was very nice. You did a great job with those. Okay, so what recommendations would you have for people who are starting out to play the piano? Would you suggest that they should learn everything in the conventional way like you started? Or do you think that it would be actually beneficial to start somebody in the scale patterns using these books? I mean, you know both sides now. What do you think?
Yeah, I would definitely recommend using the charts. They're a lot easier to use, and they just give you this one definite fingering rather than like scale books that different editions would have different kinds of fingerings, because I've had to deal with that before. But this is just this one set fingering. You can follow it. It's really easy. It's really simple. It's open. And it's really easy to read, and you can just catch on like that, and it's really fast.
And the fingering is the traditional fingering, traditional classical fingering. So in other words, when you go into an exam, you don't have to change the fingering suddenly, you know. And don't you think it's also helpful to have practiced all these scales really beautifully? I mean, how is that helping you with repertoire work?
Well, a lot of the repertoire I play now, it's all advanced, so it has a lot of these basic elements like arpeggio scales, except kind of like the more difficult versions, variations of them, and a lot of the times I'll notice, hey, this is an arpeggio, or this is part of an arpeggio, and I'll just plug the fingering in, and it'll work perfectly.
Excellent. Well, you have improved tremendously. You went from, You were working theory in September '09, so that's almost 2 years ago, level 5, and this year in March 2011 you passed the theory exemption in level 10, the advanced level. So that's a tremendous accomplishment. And then you're playing, you just did a 15-piece guild audition program, and you played preparatory special, that means all college level pieces. So your progress has been astounding. And what would you attribute this progress to?
Well, definitely to good technique, a good solid foundation that won't basically give away in pressure in different various situations. The fingering, all the tips in here, they really help you kind of solidify that foundation, and that's basically what kept my technique together during all the exams.
Excellent. Well, thank you so very much for your time, and I hope that our interview here is encouraging to other people to also look at the books and give them a good thought and start incorporating them maybe into some conventional teaching lessons and piano lessons, because I personally, of course, I feel that these books pretty much reflect what I would have liked to have seen for myself when I started to play the piano. So it's incredibly helpful and rewarding for me also to see how much my students are progressing. So maybe these books are of great help for anybody as well, and that's why I'm putting all the work into it, to make all these books and tips available for everybody else. Good luck and play well.